Okay, what we're going to be talking about here today is the Basket Trader version 21. Now this has been compiled under build 625 of the MT4 platform, and so far it seems to be fairly stable. But like all the other ones, please put it on a demo account and let it run for a while to make sure everything is operating the way you think it should be operating, because you never know. Now for those of you not familiar with the forum where it's at, you can just go to the HTTP URL there on the screen, and that will get you to the forum that everybody uses for this particular EA. This is at Forex Factory. Now today is Saturday, so the market is closed. I won't be able to jump into any trades and show anything live here, but you shouldn't have any trouble doing that. And if this is your first time and to the site, you want to go back and look at the video for version 20, because all I'm going to be talking about in this version is the updates that I've made to version 21. I'm not going to get into all the other things that are in the original version 20, because these are just the updates and everything else is still the same. So here we have version 21, and you can see it running on the screen, and it is running under the build 625. Like I said, it was compiled under build 625, but as you can notice up here in the header here, it still says 610. That just means that you need at least build 610 for this to run, and it should run on anything above on 610 or higher build number, so you should be okay. Now the template I'm using here is taken from the Forex forum. One of the other traders is using it. Presently it's the yen 7-pair basket, and it's running under the H4 time frame. And this template will be in the zip file, so if you want to try it, go ahead. Just remember, like with any new build of this, you should put it on a demo account first and try it for a while, several weeks or a month. Make sure everything is working the way you want it to work, because there are no bugs. You never know when a bug is going to get into the code, so be sure you try it first. Now what I'm going to do here is just show you some of the things that we have added. Just remember, you can open up this window if you want to look at your settings, but don't click OK down here. Cancel. Remember, you always want to stop the robot if you're going to make any changes over here. Now most of these settings are still all the same, and you can see in this case we're using just entry 0. If you look over on the right here, we're only using entry 0 with this particular template, with the direction of the IX01 and IX02. I mean, the only two that are being used. And here are the settings for entry 0. As you can see, IX01 direction is true, and IX0 direction 2 is true. 1 and 2 are true. And these are the same as was before. There's nothing changed there. Exits. What we're using for an exit in this particular case is IX02 cross as an exit. So when IO2 changes color down here from one to the other, it will exit. And as you can see, the market isn't open right now, so we couldn't take a trade, but as you can see, we actually do have an entry 0 alert. That is because both of these are red. Now actually that alert would have taken place back here at the cross, so you would have gotten in right up in here someplace. But it's still showing that alert, of course, because we're not using a cross or anything, we're just using a color change. So that's why the alert is still present. Okay, that takes care of that. Now the next thing that has changed is we have added an add to trade setting. What this does basically, it will add to a trade. So if you start getting into a long trend, it will automatically add to the trade if you want it to. And this is the lot that it will add. In this case, I've got it set for 0.01, which is the same as the basic setting for the entry. And the maximum times you wanted to add to a trade is set here. For this case, I got it set for 5, so it would add 5 times. And then after that, it will not add any more times. And this is the add after pips each pair, which means it has to travel into profit this many pips before it will do an add to per pair. In this case, we got 7 pair. 7 times 10 is 70. So the first add to would take place at 70 pips. At 70 pips, it would add to every one of these as long as they are in profit. Now, if one of these or 2 of these or 3 of these are not in profit, if they're in the red, it will not add to them. It will only add to the pairs that are in profit. Now, in this case, we got it set for 5, so the first trigger point would be 70, because we got 7 pair at 10 pips, so the first trigger point is 70. Then if it continues on, and if it hits 140, it will add again. Then at 210, it will add again. And then at 280, it will add again. And it'll keep adding every 70 pip step until it gets to a maximum number of 5 times. After 5 times, it will not add anymore. Now to turn this on or off, it's right up here. We got a button. We've added another button. And you'll notice there's an R alongside it. If you want the robot to automatically do this for you, all you got to do is click on the R there, and it will change color. I can't click it right now because we got this window open, but if you clicked on it, it would change color just like the long, short, and close buttons do, which means the robot now has control over the add to and will add every time according to your settings. So if you don't want to use it, just leave it on gray. And then of course you got the manual add to button right here. So during any trade that's open, if you see a point where you think you want to add to it, just click on this add to button and it will automatically add to the trade. Now remember that it'll only add to the trades of the pairs that are in profit. If they're not in profit, it won't add to them. And once it adds to a trade, it will also keep track of those trades, so it should show up in your profit and loss over here. It will show you the sum of all the trades you got open on that pair, because they're all under the same magic number. These will all appear under the same magic number. Now the same way when you close the trade, when it closes a trade, it will close all those trades because they are under this magic number. So if this thing, you have 15, 20, 30 trades open, different combinations of these, maybe 2 of one, 3 of another, whatever. If you hit, it closes, it will close all of them. So that's something you don't have to worry about. Now, there's a couple other things we added down here. The alert pop-up window, you know, that's that window that every time the EA takes a trade, pops up over here. It tells you the trade has been taken, or it pops up when the trade has been closed. You can now disable that if you want to. Turn it off by this setting right here. Set it to false, and then that window will not pop up. Enable run display. You can turn that off if you want to. All that is this little, these blues. See, they're hard to see up there because they're dark blue. I didn't want to make them too light so they annoyed everybody. But that tells you the robot is running. You can see the blue dots going back and forth. Now when you get into a trade, if it's a long trade, these will change to green. And if it's a short trade, they will change to red, signifying you're in a red or a short trade. That's all that just turns that off. If you don't want to have that up there annoying, if it's annoying you, you can turn it off. But it's kind of handy. It shows you the robot is actually running. And we've also added these two here, because a lot of people wanted, like when you take a manual trade or when you do a breakout trade, the robot would automatically come back waiting for you to start it back up again by clicking on the Start Live Trading. Some people wanted it to automatically start back up after a manual trade or a breakout trade. So if you turn those on, it will automatically go back into the looking for a trade position. One thing you do have to remember, if you're in a breakout trade and it opens a trade, when this goes back, with this set to true after a breakout, it goes back looking for a trade. It will go back looking for a trade according to the settings you got down here. These settings will determine what that trade will be looking for, because it's not going to open up another breakout trade, because breakout trades, you have to set them up manually, because the robot doesn't know if you want another breakout trade where to put the lines. So when that first breakout trade ends and it closes and you have this set to true, the robot will start back up again, but he will be using your settings down here. These will be the settings he will be using to look for his trade. Same way with the manual trade. If you set this to true, the manual trade closes, the robot closes the trade, the robot starts looking again, he will look for whatever you got set down here. Okay, I think that about does it for here. Okay, that about does that for what's new in the settings window. Now I have made some changes up here. Most of them, well, you can see I've hit the add button and the R button. They work just like the others. I just told you that. But I have made some changes to the breakout. You still got the breakout, or you got the pending order. If you click it again, you get the pending order. You notice you get the two breakout lines, which you would normally put where you want them. Let's just put them there for now, just for the heck of it. Now you notice I got two other little boxes that pop up here now. Those are your reward buttons. They tell you what your risk to reward is going to be. Let's set this up a little closer. We got nothing going on today, so it's not going to open anything anyway, but yeah, I'll move this down just a little bit so you can see it. Now what this means is, now normally what you do in a breakout, say we're looking for a breakout to go down, to go short through the bottom line, the distance between these lines, which is right around 660 pips, is your risk. That's usually how you set up a breakout trade. If you're breaking out to the bottom, the top line is usually your stop loss. And that's what this will be. The stop loss will be this top line if you're using breakout. Same way, if you're looking for a breakout long, the bottom line will be your stop loss. That's automatic. Now you want to do is figure out where your take profit is going to be in this breakout setting and see if the risk reward is good enough for it. So what you want to do is you want to add a take profit line. Now when you're doing all this, you probably make sure the robot is not running up here, because during the week, or when the market's open, you could move some of these lines into the wrong place. Okay, so say we're going to take a short trade, looking for a short trade. Now watch this window here as I move this. Let's pretend you think you can get down to there in this breakout. You notice here it says 0.9. That means your reward is going to be 0.9. Now if we move it a little bit more, we could get it to a 1-to-1. Right there you would have a risk reward of 1-to-1. because this distance here, which is your loss, that's what you're going to be gambling, is equal to the distance you think you can make down here. And in this case, we got up around 650 pips of loss to gain around 650. So if you think that risk reward, if that's good enough for you, then what you do is you click this button. It'll turn red because remember we're going short. And the robot will set this as your take profit target. This will be your take profit target now if you go short. If the robot goes short. If it breaks out short. Okay, so you say, well, maybe it's going to break out long. Okay, so let's take this up. Now I don't have any, well, there's some way over here. So you can notice there may be a top over there someplace. I'm not going to shrink it down right now. Now you notice there's our 1-to-1 risk to reward if it breaks out long. This would be our risk, this would be our reward. Now if you click that button, it'll turn green. That means it is now set. Now what you want to do is get rid of the take profit line, get rid of it. The robot remembers these 2 points, and if it breaks out to the bottom, it will automatically put the take profit line down here for you. If it breaks out to the top, it will automatically put the take profit line up there. And like I said, if it breaks out long, it will put the stop loss at this bottom channel line. If it breaks out short, the stop loss will be at this top channel line. That is how a breakout works. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, you can delete one of these, whichever one you want to say. Well, let's see. Yeah, we're looking for a short. Let's say we're looking for a short. So we'll delete this one. You notice your risk reward buttons go away now because now you no longer have a channel which determines your risk. So now basically what you got to do is you got to determine where you want, if you want a stop loss or whatever. And so if you put, so now you can put a stop, take profit, and you can put a stop loss in wherever you want to. Just remember now, like if I put these in here like this is looking for a breakout coming down. So since you're only looking for a breakout to the short side, you may want to go up here and disable, turn the robot off so he don't even look for a long. All he's looking for, all you're interested in right now is a short. And in this case we got the pending order, it's PO instead of breakout. So as soon as this gray line touches that violet line, it will take the trade. And you notice over here our numbers read, it tells us we're got a manual take profit of 997 pips, which should be right around here. Yeah. And it tells us that our manual stop loss is 1,026. Yeah, that's pretty close. It's hard to measure these. But that's what you can do. And if you don't want to set these, if you just want to let it break out and then you determine after the trade has been taken where you want to put them, you can do that also. But remember, right now, it's going to be looking for a breakout to the downside. As you notice, you have no entries over here to use. This is all it's using. So no matter what, even if you have the long selected up here, it's never going to take long because you got the short breakout line in here. And of course, if you want to get rid of these, you click on, now you're back to your entries. This is what would happen after a breakout trade finishes, after the robot stops it. If you have that setting set to true back in the settings, remember to let the robot restart again. It would restart after that breakout had closed, it was done, and these would pop back up again, and these would be your new entry settings that the robot would be looking for. So I believe that about covers all the changes that have been made. Remember the changes, you can add to a trade now. You can turn the pop-up window off if you don't like it. You can restart after a manual or a breakout trade if you want to turn those on. And you also got the settings over here now, so when you use a breakout channel, you get the extra risk reward windows pop up. It just kind of gives you an idea what your risk reward is going to be, so you don't have to measure it. Comes in handy. You still have your pending order, and you can turn them off like that. So I think that about does it, other than the scrolling bars up here to tell you when it's active. And of course over here in the black space is where your trend line exit is. That'll pop up when you get into a live trade. And still, if you want to see your alert window, even if you don't have it activated, if you hit this alert button, it will still pop up. You can still look at it.